Hi, Jen.
Hi, Bob. This is so peaceful. I love all these oaks.
What kind of farming? Grapes. Oh, make your own wine. It's all coming together now.
Did you get this car here?
Yeah.
Just have to get out of the camera now.
So what are you doing here with all these old people and this old reunion?
No.
Who are you?
I'm Buck's son.
Got one about this size. It's about 7.5 acres.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Great is not. I mean, it's not as done as this. This, actually has. It looks
Over
done.
the years, yeah, right.
That the ranchette has quite a ways to
when
go.
this was just a Quonset hut almost,
Really?
when he first started here. And he expanded out. But, he's a contractor. But you were always really good with your hands.
Let's see. This
Remember
is
the
05.
last 10 years?
Yeah, right.
I thought, no, I can kick it off and you can do it.
Well, I'm going to be on the camera. I'm going to be on the camera.
I'm not the one to do it. Perry should be sober. No, I didn't think so.
He's great.
Give me the camera and you facilitate the discussion. Okay. I'll do the camera. Manche Duca.
I don't know the Manchaduca.
I forgot it all.
I forgot it all.
That's good to know.
I did in Zarma. I was good in Zarma. I still speak Zarma. I went a couple times. I have a colleague who's a Zarma speaker.
Yeah.
And now you gonna shoot us?
Yes.
We can say, ask her the questions. It's not a problem.
That's not a
Tell me
problem.
why you like each other.
Oh,
We always
perfect.
have.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect.
We always have.
Always have. We're just
From
laughing.
40 years ago. We don't know why.
It's laughing. It's just healthy
This
laughing.
happens.
We have all known each other longer than we haven't known each other in our life.
Is that right?
That's a fact.
It's just.
Wanted to have a cross-cultural experience. This is all part of the deselection thing. So to Baja. But of course, Mexico does not have Peace Corps, and we were told, do not say that you're Peace Corps volunteers. So there's 100 of us, and they had 10 of us in different villages, all the way down to the tip of Baja.
I mean, my going into Niger was just to have an adventure, and it was an adventure, and I felt like I didn't have a whole lot of idealistic ideas. That's why I stayed, because I wasn't doing much for anybody there.
To fly to the village I was at, and then other volunteers would come up to the village and have this big thing, and I was staying at an orphanage, Mexican orphanage. This woman kills her prize pig. This is all for Jack Vaughn.
Right.
Of course, he didn't come.
I've always loved academics. I've always loved the academic world. I never wanted to graduate. I never wanted to leave college when I did graduate. I wanted to just keep going to school. And so in a way, that's what I'm doing.
The adage that I was always told in Peace Corps training, if you don't like flies, don't go.
She was stoned.
Do you want me to tell about the time I was stoned?
Oh, sure.
About time?
I just think I had a bigger sense of what was important in life and the importance of interacting with people and community.
The first time I went down that well, I thought, holy shit, if this rope breaks,
Yeah, right. Or these
we
guys,
won't be able to
just
find a rope for another month that'll go that far.
I went down a 300-meter deep well.
You look up there, and this is what it looks like
a tiny
yeah,
star.
that's right,
up there,
it's about that, right, yeah.
I went back to Niger in 1999. I'm Lori Ullman, once Leighton. And when I was in the Peace Corps Group 6, I was stationed in Aguier.
And less focused on material things and rat race and the commercialism of the United States, and more focused on how to make the world a better place and how to understand nature and how to communicate with other people.
When I went back 15 years later, I did that little piece for Life.
Yeah, right. I remember that.
It was amazing because I knew chiefs and people who had worked on the wells. I remembered them, they remembered me.
Right.
But I couldn't recognize the villages at all.
Yeah.
And what had changed is because they had enough water, they were no longer millet stock huts.
Right.
They'd built bonko houses, for the most part, in places where they really had needed water. They were there, and it had changed their entire life. They had vegetable gardens, you know.
Yeah. That's right.
It was a knockout.
I reconnected with my counterpart about 1998 through a dream.
How do we make my God, I thought these were going to be easy questions. God damn it.
I made the mistake of starting giving out little coins to the kids to give to the drummers. Then everybody wanted it. I was too much of a happening. I was disrupting the festival. And so I realized I had to leave. So I went the next morning. I got on an early bus and took off and went to Zander.
There had been a rape in one of the villages of a Peace Corps volunteer. There had been a killing of a Peace Corps volunteer in Niger. There had been it's a much more hardening of the culture. When we were there, we were one of the first groups. We were treated like aristocracy.
Even when I went back then, it was a lot tougher. There were police checks all over the place. It took me a year and a half to get a visa as a journalist to go back.
Right.
They were very suspicious, a lot of corruption.
Right.
You know, I took a bunch of cheap watches to give people as gifts, and 3 or 4 of them were lifted as I came in on the airport, by the screening guys.
I don't know out in the bush what it would be like. But my impression would be, first of all, Niger has endured droughts, major droughts since we were there over the last 37 years. Right now, currently, as we speak, there's a famine going on. I saw...
Something's got to do it. They are. And he's like a... Oh, you mean people like had the terrace garden?
I think sitting on a warm seat and holding the camera steady and probably holding your breath is very important.
And stuff.
Upscale, right?
Oh, sure.
That's us.
Right.
I only have 2 cars parked out in the South 40.
When I went on the trip that Chris was with me, I conjured up my French and my house of both and sort of made do, And I found my next door neighbor, and I have pictures of her in the album there, and she had learned French. She spoke Hausa when I was there. And so we were able to tell each other about our children and grandchildren and what had happened to us in the intervening years. And
He would smoke dope all night and then drive my daughter home. Santa Monica.
Oh my God.
Agriculture.
You did agriculture, but where?
In Keita, and it was notable because it had a lake. It had a man-made lake that was freshly dug 2 years, I think, before we got there.
Joe, did I ever tell you where I met Saunders last?
Leon,
Oh, in an airport.
No, I'm on a tax conference and we're going to dinner in Las Vegas. I bump into him. He's having the greatest time. He loves Las Vegas. It's such an anomaly. Saunders loving Las Vegas.
In the morning, the first thing I would have to do would be to go up there and hunt down all of the sluice gates which people would have stolen and hidden in the bush the night before.
I floated. I was with an Israeli foreign aid project out of Vienna. So you did the whole little introduction. And did some stuff with the French, the Volontiers de Progrès and the Nigerian girls. So I was doing several projects. The girls were supposed to learn how to sew, which is kind of ironic because in Niger girls don't sew. And they were, but that was all right. Girl Scouts? Oh, yes. The men sew. They make the shirts and they have the sewing machines. And
I was looking for a place to go to learn something other than my own culture, and it was a good chance to travel. And Africa was fascinating. It's a fascinating place. Still is. Though Niger is certainly in the news these days.
All over again, would you?
You bet. Within a second. Within a second.
How would you say it's affected your life? What part of your life is it now?
Well, I still volunteer, and I heap scorn on people who play golf all the time and never do anything in their lives. So that part is, the fact that we were volunteers, that we didn't get paid real well, but we learned a lot.
My father once told me that if you go back much farther than that, you're liable to run into horse thieves.
My father spent 3 terms in the Romanian army, cavalry.
With the giggles.
Yeah. Oh no, not even with the giggles. I mean, semi-paralyzed.
We just went out there and did the best we could and all of that, and tried to plant, dig a few wells and plant things on the side, and in sum total, I don't think we left much of a mark.
I keep the party going on acid. It's so out of character.
Was this in 91? Yeah. She was my roommate.
I came into Niamey. Alvin told me she was here. I said, this has to stop.
See that girl downstairs?
You can't do
No,
this.
last
He
time
promised
I ran
me
that way.
that it was all over. He came back to the States, and I think they actually got married.
So it was all over.
Yeah.
No coffee.
We had so much coffee
Tea?
today.
It's not easy.
One. We
I
drank
haven't had it for 2 months.
Did you do it gradually?
Coffee then.
No, wait. Right. People get inspired about their own things, not necessarily will support somebody else.
Which happens at most universities. Big, wonderful 104-year-old house that I've spent a lot of money fixing it.
Oh, so you enjoy doing that?
Totally. In fact, I've sort of run out of things to do, so now I'm creating. I'm going to redo the bathroom. It doesn't really need it, but I will do that. You always need a project.
Yeah.
Even camping or something. You got to make the fire. You got to make the food. Everybody needs it. You always need. We're just project.
Little structures help.
Yes.
That's right. Otherwise, we just wander around lost.
Jack just
Or bored.
Your road trip,
Yeah. I never know the day of the week. I know the day of the week. I know when Sunday comes because I have to put out the garbage. And I only know that because everybody else has put out their garbage
That's right.
first.
That's called signal in the environment.
That's right.
Very good. Very helpful.
Get it out there.
Very helpful. Everybody's standing up. Oh, I'll stand up too. It's one of those things.
If you guys stood up, I'd be in trouble.
That's right. That's right.
Because
Oh God, what am I
the
gonna do?
queen would be coming
I'm
in
such
through
a
that
conformist that I'd be jumping up. I wouldn't know why.
Well, you'll know why when you get older. You just don't know why when you're young and you're in team sports.
When will that happen?
But you noticed,
I'm looking the other way.
yeah, but I knew that. And did you notice I didn't say anything?
Oh, you're warming up.
I don't know.
To the camera.
So you gotta wait till this is on.
I also forgot to mention the Inderall, but
It is marvelous stuff, I understand.
So I'd get out of the car and I'd say, it's showtime!
We had another adventure in your country.
Yes,
I have to have many gin and tonics.
Yes, exactly. Oh, we're just starting. The laughter will be continuing.
That's right. There you go.
Hi, Lydia. How are you? Good to see you. I was on a mission to get some water.
Well, that's a nice one. I gotta get the wine and then go sit out there.
Let's head over for it.
Yeah, right.
That's why I brought him. He was hoping I wouldn't say that.
Hi, Lydia. Remember me, Chris? How are you?
Yeah.
I don't know, but I remember.
So we were down in your area. We were seeing all her relatives.
You'll get something to eat.
Oh, there's McAdoo. Hey, Buckaroni. I just saw him a while ago, about a week or so ago. No, 2 weeks. I don't know. I'm on vacation. Weeks, maybe 3 weeks ago.
I'll never forget that. We were wandering around the street. We were staying in Montmartre and going to the opera at night, and eating in a youth hostel. And he didn't have very much money, but it was really so exciting. That was the very first time out in the world, That was after that whole long stretch of when we were during World War II. We could never leave the country.
Okay.
Don't I get a little red light or anything?
There is no red light on this return to officers. Oh, this is good. Pause.
Live.
Do it live.
Santa Rosa.
Wait till he warms up a little.
So at the end of the year, I said, did any of my markets lose any money? And they said, it's a miracle. No, they didn't. So I went up and down Niger Valley, where I lived, Dogarawa, and told everyone they were going to get a refund for the first time ever because they hadn't lost the money. Not long after that, the Legionnaires caught up with me and said, what was I doing telling them they were going to get a refund? That wasn't quite the way they had been playing that game in the past. Okay, warm up. It's
Okay,
cooling down.
we're on. Okay, and I don't want to. He's done. He's doing me.
I think you should. Thank you. It's an excellent idea.
It's not as easy as it looks. Turn that bright light on. Talk, you bugger.
The way of life in Africa was so different that we had to let go of all of our perceptions of how life would be. Life, death, birth, all those things were held in a different context.
When we were sent that thing about how the Peace Corps has affected my life, and the first thing that came to mind is that it took me out of the small town where I grew up in Michigan, and it took me out into the world and made all these connections with everyone, Nigerians, and all these you guys, these wonderful people who very much, I think along the lines that you're speaking of, from not having a small mind, being open, not setting limits.
I'm a volunteer with the Miss California organization, which is a state pageant that leads to the Miss America program. I did an equivalent Peace Corps in Israel. It is the world's largest scholarship program for women. We are just as connected as you guys are, and we do have our reunions, and they have a similar spirit to it. Women bear our children. Women feed us. Women clean our houses. Women keep us happy sexually. Women are very important. Women are absolutely as important as men.
It was essentially a failure in the first year because the cooperatives were taken over by corrupt political party officials, and my job was to do an assessment of how much she had stolen from all the villages. But it brought me in great contact with a lot of the villages I'd worked in. My house was pretty good by that point, and I really learned an enormous amount. It was a very valuable experience.
I don't know. He hasn't gotten divorced either. His wife is here.
Yeah. And we have separate houses.
Hey, and you know something? That's why I work. The more I drink, the more I realize that Morris is a real babe.
Oh, yeah.
Gary played the greatest joke ever on me in Niger. Remember when you threw the rocks over the compound? I was in there and I thought that was I thought the Nigerians were rebelling against me. Oh, so funny. Oh, we went and had a couple of beers after that.
Come on, just think for a second. We're not doing anything.
A good dad lets his son teach himself his own lessons.
You can. I'm like you're the
We'll edit this out. Don't worry.
We'll edit this out. Then why shoot it if you're going to edit it? I have a great job, John. I have a really, really great job. I'm a very happy camper. Stress is enormous, but I like my colleagues. I've always needed a place to be, to rest. I mean, I was in the Peace Corps, and then I was at KQED, and then I was in a film collective, Cine Manifest in San Francisco, and then when I moved to New York, I had all these wonderful, wonderful political people, and USC wanted me, so I like a family. I like belonging somewhere.
A lot of colleagues and that atmosphere.
Yeah, I can't live really without that.
There's one beach where we used to go when we were kids, and now it has no trespass signs on it. Used to be a public beach. Isn't that awful? It's just disgusting.
There is a law in the state of Washington that the people do own the beaches below mean high tide or something like that.
Being off the beach.
No, the beach itself.
Really?
Yeah, below mean high tide.
And are you allowed to walk across the private property to get to the public beach?
Well, unless they shoot you.
There should
remind me to tell you about the kid I saved from starvation.
Question came up, what is the audience for the video that you shot earlier? Question came up, what is the audience for the video that you shot earlier?
126? How's it?
In front of the
Peace Corps made me a whole bunch of friends around here, right? There are 40 of them or 70 of them here. We were just talking about that, 4 or 5 of us, and if one of you came to my door and needed help, I would give you the keys to my car and say, here, take the car. And I think that's what most about.
So So now it's talking, huh? I'm going to sit and listen now.
Yeah, get Murph in this. She started this whole thing, yeah. She's not even one of us. It's an interloper.
Where did we leave off? You were,
I don't know, Bob. You're in charge here. I'm doing the best I can. Oh, not Murph. Yeah, let's let him do it.
Well, don't leave.
I'm not leaving. I'm just turning around. So Murph, you've hung around with all these Peace Corps people all these years, and you've actually even been to Niger and seen the camels and the dusty streets and stuff. What is it that brought this into your life, and how do you think that helped you be a better person in teaching in the Oakland schools?
Okay, thank you very much. I think, okay, I'll tell you one thing. I think I told you this story before, and I don't think you were impressed, but it is my only, it's an impressive story.
Okay.
Okay. So I was walking down the street in Kano, and all of a sudden it was the street of lepers. And there were lepers. I was seeing lepers. There were lepers all over the street. And I was walking down the street, and then I thought, the only way that I can figure this out is there must be karma.
Must be what?
Karma. I thought maybe I was a leper in another lifetime.
Oh.
And that's why I could walk down here relatively unscathed.
For another question.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Well, then, after you saw the lepers, did you become a leper?
No, but I believed in karma.
Oh, karma. I forgot about that. Yeah, karma.
It's about karma.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
A final word to all the young men of America. As you grow older, you can look forward to this kind of wisdom.
Well, no vegetables, no legumes, no nothing.
See, we ate very well.
You had water and trees.
Well, yeah, but I mean, we
and
also
mountains
and mountain. Well, most of the
giraffes.
time. And and what?
Giraffes.
And giraffes.
A wild dog.
Actually,
a wild dog.
We really did have elephants. I mean, even in Chad, we had elephants.
You had elephants?
We did have elephants.
We don't.
We also had the green.
Did
you have bad snakes? How the green mamba
as
that killed you in 3 seconds?
Oh yeah, we heard about them. I never saw one.
They
You ever
warned
seen one?
us. No. They told us in the Peace Corps, watch out for the green mambas. We never saw a green mamba.
Yeah, and then we found out about the black mamba, who was even faster than the green mamba.
Well, you know,
That black mamba could run you down on a motorcycle at 120 miles an hour. Boom! You were dead.
By the time you got the venom out, you would have been dead.
Yeah.
So it was a useless.
Crawl to the refrigerator.
I mean,
I don't have time to do all this. You live at half a mile away. I'm going to the refrigerator, trying to save my life.
Taxi!
Well, Marietta reminded me tonight about when we got to Defu, we didn't know what to eat.
Oh.
I mean, Peace Corps training was so bad. We had no idea of what or how to eat.
Oh.
We got there, they put us in the post office, and we said, well, we went to the market. We didn't know what anything was.
No.
We didn't know how to cook it. We had no idea how to eat.
And you could.
wedding.
He's an equal opportunity.
Michael, what do you say in the morning?
Michael, what do you say in the
What do you say?
Because Jane and Joan are both John.
Yes.
And we're all three of us are Sagittarians. We're all Sagittarians. We're gonna look really drunk. I'm not drunk. I'm not drunk.
Hey, here we go.
What?
1943.
1945.
1944.
I'm not. Oh, watch out! In case you didn't notice, I'm the baby of the family. You're the oldest bossy sister. The older bossy sister.
And I'm the navigator.
She's the navigator.
Spend the night together.
Judaism, how it shifted from a hereditary religion of a caste, of a priestly religion to a more democratic, rabbinic, when anybody can be a rabbi. So they did this random test of people on the beach in Tel Aviv. They asked them, there's three types, are you a Kohen, Levi, or an Israelite, which is everybody else. So they asked these guys, and then they did these tests. Anyway, these guys in Africa have the same pattern. Sephardic Jews have the same pattern. The Ashkenazi European Jews have the same pattern. And these guys in Africa have the same.
Here we go.
And his wife, they're going through a divorce.
He had a stroke, which affected his ability to sleep. And it was the usual stuff. It took me 6 weeks to get in. I went to the Mayo Clinic and on site. They said this type of injury should be looked at in the first week. And Dr. Ben Bedrigan said we should have had this operated on the first 3 months. It took me a year before Kaiser actually got me into the operation room. And I went in
lower back.
Yeah. And so I
I just want to say hi to my mom and dad. I wasn't in the Peace Corps, but I really tried to be. It's just that they don't have any Peace Corps volunteers in Australia, which is where I wanted to go.
Baby shake, baby shake, baby shake, baby shake, baby shake.
I said. We're maturing well.
Did you see what Sue is wearing? The Panyazani she has on?
No.
You should check it out. It's the commemorative cloth for the 40th anniversary of Peace Corps Niger. They had this cloth, printed up. It was 6 yards of this, and it's a goddamn ugly color. I don't know.
My youngest is 25.
You've never even seen us from heaven.
I have to. I went with her.
So what? I did.
Janice, go sit in that chair there. We're sitting. Where do I sit?
Where do you want to
You do.
Right before
They showed us how to really, This is recycled.
Did you build your house or did you find it?
We're sharing. Oh yeah. Okay. Oh wait. I'm just saying goodbye. I already said goodbye.
You said goodbye? No, you didn't say goodbye.
I'm going to say goodbye because I'm going to leave.
Okay.
I gotta get that.
You doing?
Good morning.
I've got something to donate to you.
Now I got an idea when I'm going to
And I said, oh my God, I know how. We need milk and eggs and vanilla, and and I opened 24 eggs because it was late in the afternoon to get enough eggs that weren't in some other strange form, sort of 3/4 chicks, to make custard. And we made homemade vanilla custard ice cream.
And I think that he was out of money or something like that, and I gave him some because he needed toilet paper. And he wrote me a note afterwards, after the wedding lesson, thank you from the bottom of my bottom.
At some French people's house, eating a lovely French meal around a table. It was so civilized. And he said, took the gravy boat and said, "Oh, this is beautiful," and he tipped it over to look, see what it was.
Here's another one. We're after the Peace Corps. We're in New York, both of us, kind of really wit's end. We don't know what we're doing. We're wandering around the city, and of all the times, he doesn't get ripped too many times, but we're stoned. And Gil doesn't get stoned, right? So he is flying. And we're walking around, I think it's Columbus Avenue, and we're wandering, looking through a used bookstore or something, and we're moaning about how we don't know what to do. And the owner says, "Guys, why don't you join the Peace Corps?"
Somehow we need to put our heads together on finding out what Niger wants for Niger that's going to help the future. So please join Friends in Niger. And if you can go a step further, you might be interested in going to the website of National Peace Corps Association and see what sorts of things they're doing. They are doing a lot. They sort of flounder all the time, but somewhere between all that, there are some projects.
I'm recording this music on this ordinary street in Niamey. I decided to walk around tonight and record some of the music because this is a celebration night because of the Ocom Camp. This has been declared a national holiday, and so everyone is out beating their drums and playing.
I had to paint, abstract things on the wells. And the very first one I painted was just black and white, but the camels wouldn't get anywhere near because they thought it was a dead zebra.
I disappeared for a while into Liberia and then came back to Niger to marry Jerry Collins. The Peace Corps noticed that we were roommates. He was my roommate in Chattagori, and the Peace Corps noticed that and suggested we make it more official.
I was in Peace Corps Niger 5 from 66 to 69. I have trouble talking to groups of people without PowerPoint nowadays, so.
I had to get married because we were about to become grandparents.
I stopped by one of our adult literacy centers one evening. Nobody was there. People showed up late and they were so embarrassed they gave me a monkey.
So living in Niger, kind of reminds me of camping out.
He's in the ditch. And we asked him, he said, "Are you all right?" He says, "Oh yeah, I'm all right." He says, "What happened?" So it's a goat jumped out in front of me. And we all said, "Kill the goat!" Run it over. Don't go into the ditch.
He didn't have a job, so we were, after a year there, and Marietta was in my village. Guy Omega, Jerry St. Ange, Kathy Kelly. It was a big group. It was supposed to be a mobile health team that never happened.
I met Richard Elwell in a bar on a Friday night in Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire, when I was floundering around as a Côte d'Ivoire volunteer without really a job to do. And by the next Tuesday morning, I was on a flight to Niamey.
I was in Nigeria, northern Nigeria, when the Biafran War broke out. I lost my job there, and since I spoke Hausa, they sent me up to eastern Niger in a Kanuri-speaking area to do adult literacy.
I actually have a degree in agriculture. Contrary, I think Wilbur and I were the only people with degrees in agriculture. And we went over, by the way, this is tropical horticulture, not it's slightly different.
I became the village idiot. And it was really funny because the young girls of the village would say "Ina uni" in the afternoon to me, which means good afternoon. But soon it became "Ina kwana," which is good morning. They'd say in the afternoon, and they'd say good afternoon in the morning to me, and then they would run off laughing like hell.
And so, if anything, we're like 5 3/4. I can't tell you. I guess you can look at me and see that my experience in Niger was quite unique because I was amongst people who looked like me and who had an entirely different culture. I was very much welcomed by the people. It was just an awesome experience in terms of being greeted by the president and having the president say that I'm real. You're real. You're an African American, and having the children praise me as I walked down the streets of Niamey, and they would call me the American Noir. And that was all fantasy, but it was reality for me.
I was one of the few Chadian Peace Corps people who hitchhiked to Niger to see their so-called significant others, and so that's how I ended up with. So Joe McDermott was in the Niger thing.
My name is John Lewis, and I was with the Peanut Cooperative in Bande, which is between Magaria and Zinder. And I love my 2 years in the Peace Corps. And the last 10 years I've worked in the water field. Right now I'm working for the city of San Francisco in their water filtration systems. And I live in Berkeley, California with my wife and 3 children, and as of yet, no grandchildren. And I'm also, like Norma, delighted to be here.
And you're collecting money.
And I'm collecting money.
Michael Parrish. I was in Niger 5. I lived in at the Kolo Farm School for a while during the violent period, and then moved to Dogarawa with Joe McDermott for a while, and then I ended up in Birni Coney, that crossroads of West Africa. I live now in Los Angeles. I spent 30 years in journalism. I'm still writing, editing bad writing, teaching students who write badly. And, you know, I'd retire tomorrow if I could. Anyway. Thank you.